Welcome to this explainer. Let's just jump right in, because today we are unpacking the hidden magic of global trade by looking at a surprisingly simple invention. Have you ever actually stopped to think about how the modern world works behind the scenes? Like how the physical items in the room you're sitting in right now actually got there? There's this invisible web of commerce completely surrounding us, just humming quietly in the background of our everyday lives. And the crazy thing is, it relies on something so incredibly mundane, you probably pass it on the highway every single day without a second glance.
So let's start right here with a question that really highlights this fascinating modern reality. How on earth is shipping a physical package across the planet cheaper than a cup of boba tea? Just think about that for a second. You go online, you order a $2 t-shirt that was manufactured 10,000 miles away in Shenzhen. That shirt has to be packed, loaded, driven, sailed across the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean, unloaded, and driven again right to your front doorstep. And yet, the shipping fee is practically zero. Seriously, by what magic does the global economy operate on such aggressively cheap freight?
Well, spoiler alert, the answer to that $0 shipping paradox isn't the internet. It's not some massive fleet of super-fast cargo planes either. It's actually a completely boring, rusty metal box. The shipping container. That unassuming steel rectangle is the silent engine of globalization, and as you'll see, it completely rewrote the rules of human economics.
Now, moving on to the break bulk nightmare. To really get how revolutionary this box is, we've got to look at what things were like before it existed.
Before 1956, international trade was, well, kind of agonizing. If you wanted to load a single 10,000-ton cargo ship, it required an absolute army of workers. We're talking an average of 3 entire weeks of grueling, round-the-clock manual labor just to get the goods into the hull. Because of this massive bottleneck, port loading costs ate up a whopping 50% of a product's final value. Imagine buying a refrigerator today and having to pay double the price just to cover the cost of the guys physically loading it onto the boat. The sheer chaos of the break bulk era was wild. Cargo was just manually stuffed into random bags, wooden barrels, mismatched crates of every conceivable shape and size, heavy sacks of coffee beans, massive sloshing oil drums. Every single item had to be handled piece by human hands. It was a massive bottleneck of human sweat and profound disorganization at practically every dock in the world. And because it was so horribly inefficient, buying ordinary goods from across the globe wasn't normal at all. It was an extreme luxury reserved only for the very wealthy.
Next up, 19 years of incubation. So how did we finally fix this mess? It took nearly 2 decades and a truck driver's dream.
The whole thing really kicks off with this guy's vision. Meet Malcolm McLean. Back in 1937, he was just a frustrated 24-year-old truck driver sitting at a bustling port in New Jersey. He stranded there for hours, watching dock workers slowly unload his truck piece by piece. And he has what seems like a childish thought. Why are we loading individual crates? Why not just lift my entire truck bed onto the ship? But great ideas rarely happen overnight. It took McLean nearly 20 years of grinding to amass enough wealth to buy a shipping company. And when he finally did, he wagered absolutely everything he had, his entire life's fortune, on a concept that didn't even exist yet.
That massive gamble became a reality in April 1956. McLean loaded 58 identical steel boxes onto a converted World War II oil tanker called the Ideal X. It departed the port of Newark, and as those massive cranes effortlessly lifted uniformed boxes onto the deck in mere minutes rather than days, boom, the old break bulk era was officially dead. A totally new age of global trade had set sail.
The immediate impact of that one single voyage was a massive price collapse. The cost of loading cargo didn't just drop, it was utterly obliterated literally overnight. The price plummeted from an expensive $5.83 a ton down to just 16 cents a ton. 16 cents! That staggering drop in cost is the massive aha moment that changed the mechanics of the global economy forever. Suddenly, distance practically stopped being a financial penalty.
Which brings us to the anatomy of the box. What makes this thing tick?
The true genius of the container isn't its steel walls. It's the brilliant, uncompromising standardization. The whole secret relies on universally standardized corner castings and a ridiculously simple physical key known as the 90-degree rotary twist lock mechanism. This tiny latch is what prevents tens of thousands of tons of cargo from collapsing in furious ocean storms, letting these massive metal boxes be safely stacked 8 to 9 levels high on a pitching deck. These little metal corners essentially became the universal physical language of humanity, allowing any crane in any country to grab any box.
This standardization created what we call an intermodal artery, a seamless, frictionless 10,000-mile journey. Think about how smooth this flow is today. Step 1. The cargo is securely sealed at a factory in Shanghai. Step 2. That exact same box is craned directly onto a cargo ship. Step 3. It hits America and is transferred seamlessly to a rail car. And Step 4. It's hooked onto a semi-truck in California to reach its final destination. Throughout that entire global journey, spanning multiple modes of transportation, no human hands ever actually open the box.
Because of this highly structured system, goods flow smoothly and continuously, exactly like blood flowing perfectly through a vein in your body. It's this unbroken, flawless intermodal artery spanning oceans and continents. It never stops, it never rests, and it continuously pumps the lifeblood of commerce to every corner of the earth.
So let's look at redrawing the world map, because naturally, this level of unprecedented efficiency had some massive macro consequences.
The sudden spatial demands of this new standard actually physically altered global geography. It caused the sudden death of those cramped, chaotic, bustling inner-city ports we used to have. Historic waterfronts that thrived for centuries were abandoned practically overnight, simply because they didn't have the vast acreage required to stack thousands of steel boxes. And in their place, sprawling, highly automated deep-water megaports built out in the suburbs designed entirely around the unyielding dimensions of this one specific metal box.
This dynamic created a secret formula for Eastern economic dominance, forged entirely in steel. When you combine ultra-cheap Asian labor with ocean freight that now costs practically pennies, Western corporations quickly realized a hard truth. They just didn't need to maintain expensive domestic factories anymore. This mundane metal box quietly uprooted millions of manufacturing jobs from Europe and America, shipped them across the Pacific, and effectively made Asia the undisputed factory of the world. And the scale modern engineering has reached since then, it's honestly hard to wrap your head around. In 1956, Malcolm McLean's massive gamble was just 58 boxes sitting on a refitted oil tanker. Today, a single modern behemoth ship stretching longer than an aircraft carrier can carry over 20,000 containers simultaneously. The sheer volume of goods moving across the water at any given second is just staggering.
So just how much of our world relies on this? 90%. 90% of all non-bulk global goods travel exactly this way. The clothes you're wearing right now, the phone or computer you're looking at, the furniture in your room, the electronics in your kitchen, almost everything has spent time locked inside one of these invisible veins of globalization.
But hey, the innovation didn't stop with just the steel. Let's trace the evolution of Logistics 4.0. Today, that rusty box is driven by a brilliant digital brain. In the 1980s, we saw the rise of complex software and digital warehouse management starting to track these physical assets. Fast forward to 2012, and fierce automation took over the warehouses, like Amazon deploying over 100,000 Kiva robots to completely eliminate manual walking. And today, big data and artificial intelligence track millions of individual boxes globally in real time. They predict delays and enable those rapid, same-day delivery apps we use every single day. It really is the ultimate example of greatness coming from absolute simplicity. So the next time you're sitting in traffic and you see a truck carrying a rusty container on the highway, remember, you're not just looking at a metal box. You are literally looking at the foundational brick of the modern world. It's the singular invention that makes our modern standard of living possible. Which leaves me with one final question for you to chew on. If a ridiculously simple metal box completely reshaped the entire 20th century, what unseen, mundane object is quietly redefining our future right now? Keep your eyes open. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and we'll see you next time.